Make una see wetin unemployment cause o. GenZ kidnappers. We don make am. Sandra screams, dancing in the small one-bedroom apartment. The words burst out of Sandra like fireworks, her voice cracking with joy as she jumped from the worn-out rug to the bed and back again. Her phone was clutched tightly in her hand, the screen glowing with promises of a better life. She danced without rhythm, without shame, laughing so hard tears gathered at the corners of her eyes. For once, it felt like the universe had finally remembered her. From the other side of the room, Chisom jerked up. "What is it?" she says, her voice thick with sleep as she wiped Drew off the corner of her mouth with the back of her hand. Her wrapper had shifted in the night and her hair stood in confused directions. Her heart was racing already. Nothing good ever started with Sandra screaming. Sandra rushed to her breathless. "We done ma. See this thing, oh. Poverty elevation scheme. You just pay 10,000 naira only and you fit win 1 million naira." Chisom blinked. Once, twice, the sleep slowly drained from her eyes, replaced by curiosity. 1 million, she repeated softly. Sitting upright, Sandra abeg talk true. Which kind thing be that? "I swear," Sandra said quickly, sitting on the edge of the bed, her excitement spilling everywhere. "I see am for online o. People dey testify, proper testimony, not those fake ones." Chisom's lips parted in a slow smile. "Who you know wey don collect the money?" she asked carefully, like someone afraid to touch something fragile. Sandra grinned wider. "That fine celebrity wey you like. That one with soft voice. She be ambassador. She don do am like 5 times. 5 times! If scam dey there, she for near am." That was all it took. Chisom stood up fully now, pacing the cramped room, stepping over piles of job application printouts. "Meaning, if we both do am," she said slowly, her eyes bright, calculating. "That na 2 million, Sandra gasped. "Jesus! Our rent dey due. 200,000. Her voice dropped, heavy with the memory of their landlord last warning. "We pay that one sharp sharp," Sandra swallowed, already seeing it. "Freedom. And we go still get 1.8 million. Chisom continued, her voice trembling now, half laughter, half disbelief. "We fit buy clothes, good clothes oh. Change our lives. No more beggy. No more explaining why we never get job." Sandra eyes filled with tears. This fit be our turning point." The excitement didn't last long. The problem is they don't even have up to 20,000 naira joined together. Reality hit them that same afternoon. As they emptied their nylon purses on the bed, hold notes, coins, and shame, they counted 3 times, 8,500. They added the coins, nothing changed. Silence settled between them, thick and heavy. That was how they found themselves standing in front of Bonnie. He sat behind a small wooden table chewing on a toothpick, eyes cold and knowing. "You want loan?" Bonnie asked, already smiling. "How much?" 100,000, Sandra said, forcing confidence into her voice. Bonnie chuckled. "Interest no be joke oh. We go pay," Chisom said quickly. "No problem." He leaned back. 3 weeks. Bring my money complete." They nodded too fast. The money touched their hands and burned with promise. They invested in the poverty elevation scheme immediately, sending the 10,000 each with shaking fingers. The remaining 180,000, they went shopping. Not careful shopping, no, celebration shopping. Boutiques, roadside vendors. Their money wasn't enough, so they bought more clothes on credit. "Don't worry," Sandra said confidently to the vendor, tossing her hair. "Our money they come." They bought wigs too, bone straights, water wave. One vendor hesitated. "You sure say you na go pay?" Chisom smiled. 2 million they land. 2 weeks passed. Then calls started coming. Bonnie was calling. The clothes vendor was knocking. So was their landlord, Oga Wale. Knocking with authority. "Madam Sandra, Madam Chisom, rent don't expire." They sat inside, holding their breaths, phones buzzing endlessly on the bed. Every time Sandra refreshed her phone, her chest tightened. Nothing, no alert, no messages. One night, they sat on the floor drinking garri, sharing one cup. The room dark because NEPA had taken light again. Sandra's phone suddenly buzzed. Not the alert they wanted, but the notification. Breaking news. The so-called poverty elevation scheme had been confirmed a scam. The organizers are unreachable and have disappeared. The cup slipped from Chisom's hand. Carrie scattered on the floor. No, she whispered. No, 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 no. Sandra said at the scream, numb. We just need to wait small, but deep down they knew. By morning, it was clear. They were owing almost 1 million naira. The calls became threats. Bonnie sent voice notes. You don't joke with me? The clothes vendor came with another woman. Oga Wole started measuring police. That night, as fear sat with them like a third roommate, Chisom scrolled mindlessly on her phone. Then she froze. Sandra, she said slowly, come and see this. It was a video. A man bruised but alive, thanking God after his release. Caption, paid ransom and survived. They watched it again. And again, Sandra heartbeat grew loud in her ears. People they pay ransom, she thought. Chisom lowered the phone, their eyes met. The idea came suddenly, fully formed, terrifying and tempting. What if Sandra began, then stopped? Chisom finished it. What if we start kidnapping? The word hung in the air. They didn't scream. They didn't laugh. They just stared at each other. People they pay, Sandra said quietly. And we no one kill anybody, Chisom added. Like that made it better. Immediately they went to work. Sandra brought out her old sewing machine. Hands steady despite her raising heart, using pink and purple fabrics, scraping them together. She stitched ski marks. At Taylor's kiss moving on pure adrenaline. Chisom opened Facebook. She began replying messages from admirers, soft replies, laughing emojis, late night voice notes. She gave special attention to the most expensive looking ones. The ones with cars, wristwatches, vacation photos. Good night, love, she typed sweetly, while Sandra cut fabric behind her. The small one-bedroom apartment felt different. No longer a place of dreams, but a place where something dangerous had just been born. Boom! Chisom had a date. Her phone buzzed while she was applying lip gloss. And when she read the message, her breath caught. Dinner, upscale place. It was already outside. She smiled slowly. The kind of smile that meant morning. That night, she laughed easily across the table, nodding at his stories, pretending interest while calculating everything. His watch, his phone, the confidence that said this one has cash. After the meal, he suggested a walk. Quiet streets, soft lights. Everything was perfect. As they walked side by side, Chisom slowed her steps deliberately. That was when Sandra appeared, out of nowhere. She stepped from behind him, her face covered, phone stretched forward and pressed against his back like a gun. Don't turn, Sandra said, her voice low and shaking with forced courage. One shout and I shoot you and I shoot her too. Choma screamed on cue. Oh my God, please don't shoot. The man froze. His hands went up immediately. Please, please, I have money, I'll pay. Just don't kill me. Sandra pushed the phone harder into his spine. Transfer now. No tricks. His fingers trembled as he unlocked his phone. Sweat poured down his face. How much? Everything you can, Sandra snapped. He sobbed as he sent the money, breathing prayers between taps. When the alerts dropped, Sandra stepped back. Run, she said. The man ran like a man who had seen death. They stood there afterwards, shaking then laughing. Laughing too hard, high on fear and success. They did it. And again, soon, they had enough to pay their debts. But they didn't stop. Instead, they shopped. Designer bags, shoes they didn't need, wigs that cost more than their rent. Choma bought an iPhone, peeling the nylon slowly like a reward. When Oga Wole knocked, they stayed quiet. Next week, Sandra said, we could pay everything. But next week came with another target. This time, the man was different. Bigger, masculine. Choma was nervous, but he did well. She invited him back to the apartment, and as planned, Sandra appeared. Sandra pointed the phone behind him again as usual. But the man collapsed out of fear. They panicked. Wake up, Sandra whispered sharply. No response. Fear crept in them. They covered his eyes and tied his hands. Choma lay beside him, pretending she was kidnapped too. Her voice shaking as Sandra paced the room. Call your people, Sandra shouted. Tell them to pay ransom for you and her. The man groaned weakly. Then, bang, bang, bang. The door shook. "Oh yeah, open this door," a voice thundered. It was Oga Wale and some boys. "We don't break am today." Before they could react, the doors crashed open. The landlord stormed in, then froze. He saw a tied man on the floor, blindfolded. Silence swallowed the room. "What is this?" Oga Wale whispered. Choma screamed. Sandra dropped the phone. The boys stepped back slowly. And in that moment, everything they had built, fear, lies, desperation, collapsed under the weight of one unpaid rent. Sirens echoed faintly in the distance, and the small one-bedroom apartment finally became too small to hide the truth. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I really hope you enjoyed the story as much as I enjoyed making it. And as always, please like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye, besties.